If you are treating your word of mouth marketing as a chance or something that will hopefully happen, you are leaving so much money on the table. And I'm going to be breaking that down for you in this video, why word of mouth marketing is so important, how you can be intentionally crafting a brand that creates word of mouth marketing, and how you as a small business can take advantage of this starting today. Now, for those of you who don't know, word of mouth marketing is essentially referrals. It is people going and talking about your brand, your business, your product, your service for you, so you don't have to do it yourself. Now, word of mouth marketing is one of the most powerful marketing channels. And I want to share some stats with you. I've got them written down that are very, very interesting and important for you to recognize and understand as we go into this conversation. Number one, 72% of consumers get news from friends and family about products and companies, making word of mouth the most popular channel. Number two, referrals from friends make consumers 4 times more likely to proceed with a purchase. Word of mouth impressions result in 5 times more sales than paid impressions do, which is really big if you've got a marketing budget. And then finally, consumers are discussing brands casually as much as 90 times per week. People are out here talking about brands, and people are out here buying because someone talked to them or told them about a brand. However, a lot of small businesses in particular are leaving their word of mouth marketing up to chance. They assume, well, I've done a good job, I've delivered a good service, I delivered a good product, people will talk about me. And unfortunately, that is not the case anymore. That is the floor at this point. That used to be the bar that we were striving for, have the best product, have the best service. That is not what is happening anymore. Buyers expect a good service or a good product. And if you do not deliver that, you will get word of mouth, but it is going to be negative. This is the expectation now. So what can you be doing as a small business to increase the likelihood of word of mouth marketing for your brand? Now, to answer this, I'm going to ask you another question. I want you to really think about this. What do you need to experience, to feel when you refer someone to a product, service, or brand? The biggest thing is trust. You have to trust outside of, okay, like, did this product or service do the job that it was supposed to do? You have trusted the brand because when you refer it, you are then linked to the outcome. And that puts your reputation on the line as well. So how can a brand build trust? And how can it create an experience that people enjoyed so much that they wanted to go and tell others about it? It's this question that led me to developing the brand caliber standard that I take all of my clients through now in the first place. It's how can you create a brand experience so immersive, so intentional, so curated that you drastically increase the obsession worthiness of it and get people talking about you before you step in the room. And I want to break this down for you. So there are 3 sections: strategy, direction, and execution. Strategy is where we're kind of setting the stage. Direction is where we're actually developing the experience. And then execution is how we are bringing it all to life. Now, when it comes to word of mouth markets, a lot of brands at this point are already doing strategy, they're already doing execution, but they're missing this middle piece, which is the direction, which is how the brand is actually experienced. And that's what I want us to dive into. Now, there are 3 parts in the direction piece of this framework. The first is the symbolic language system. And this is all about creating repeated visual motifs, and it can be messaging too, that help build recognition in the buyer's brain, where they look at something and they're like, oh, I know what this is linked to. I know that this is part of X brand. So I love to use Disney as an example. They've got the Mickey Mouse ears. You see that, you immediately think of Disney because you see it over and over and over again. And because you're seeing it over and over again, it starts to build trust and recognition. And remember, trust is the biggest part of a referral: trust and experience. Now we're going to get to experience next, because the next part of the framework is experience pathway design. This is about specifically curating and creating how someone is going to move through their interactions with your brand, step by step, and creating opportunities for potential buyers to interact with your brand and build an emotional connection. Because emotional connection is another one of the ways, and shared experience is another one of the ways that people are building trust. So what does this look like? If we're going to use Disney as our example, let's look at Disney World. It's a whole experience. And every part of that experience is curated From parking lot to actual entrance into the park, every single step is mapped out and reinforced over and over again. When you go to a Disney park, you know what to expect. And that builds trust. The other thing that's really cool about Disney, what they do is you get completely immersed in the world. Through this experience, they have removed, once you enter the park, all other external world, the external reality. When you enter a Disney park, you are in Disney's reality at that point. And that is a very well-crafted experience. And it's something that small businesses can also be leveraging in their brands. This is used to reduce friction in the buying process, but also building in those special moments that get someone excited to share about it. When you can predict what it is that your buyer needs to experience and provide that for them before they ever have to ask, immediately your credibility skyrockets, they're excited to have partnered with you, and they are far more likely to refer you. So spending time on this and looking at all the individual touch points is a huge part of what creates word of mouth marketing. And finally, the final piece of the direction section is brand world rituals. Now we see a lot of larger businesses doing this, but this is something that I feel small businesses can absolutely take advantage of, because in reality, small businesses have far more contact with their customers than larger businesses do. There is a more personalized experience in a lot of ways for smaller businesses as opposed to large corporations, which means you have a lot of opportunity to go above and beyond and create these special experiences for your buyers to get them talking about your brand, your service, your product, your offers. Now, these brand world rituals are ways for people to interact with your brand outside of just consuming content or buying from you. So this is creating opportunities for brand engagement, brand involvement that don't fit the normal kind of marketing path. Disney, for example, has their Disney Vacation Club. They've got a community of people who can come together and have kind of this similar experience, similar feel. They're part of, again, a club is a really great way to do this. It makes people feel special. Another example that I really, really like for the brand world rituals is Patagonia. So Patagonia has hosted a number of gatherings for people within their community that has nothing to do with their offers, but is a way for people with shared values to get together to talk about conservation, to plan ways to work together and improve the environment. But this has nothing to do with Patagonia's products. They are just a steward for the community. Now, what's really important is these are not one-off things. We want those repeatable chances to interact with the brand. We want the rituals. And so this is something that can be done over and over and over again. How can someone interact with your brand outside of buying from you, outside of you pitching services, outside of them just consuming your content, to become more connected? And what's great about this is when someone has a good experience outside of just the buying experience, because again, consumers at this point expect a good buying experience. That is what is expected. The bar is that is the bar now. So when you can get people interacting with your brand and having a good experience outside of that, again, they are far more likely to go off and tell someone about it, to share about it, and also to purchase from you as well, because they've already interacted with you and they already feel like they're more important than just a transaction. This also gives them a sense of participation in your brand. And when people feel like they can participate in something, especially something that they are aligned with, they're more likely to invite others to participate as well. Now, I know I gave you a lot of examples from the big company like Disney and a large company like Patagonia, but that doesn't mean that you as a small business cannot also be incorporating this. And as I said, you have a better chance of making this connection with your customers than these larger companies do, as long as you are intentional. So some things that I want you to start thinking about is, what are ways that I can involve my audience outside of just my normal marketing, outside of creating content, outside of getting people to buy from me? Maybe you host workshops. Maybe you do community gatherings like Patagonia. Maybe you send out a special newsletter, a special card, like handwritten card, to people after they've done X, Y, and Z in your buying process. All of these are examples of rituals. Now, what about experience pathway design? What do? I want you to sit down and start mapping out what steps do your people have to go through from not just, first interaction to the buy, but also after the purchase, to feel a connection with you and your brand. And what can you do to increase that connection? Maybe you've got something that you're doing right now. Can you amp it up? And then the shared symbolic language as well. What are some things that are repetitive in the way that you interact with your buyers? Are there certain symbols that you can use? Are there certain words? Do you call your buyers or your community or your leads and prospects, your audience, a specific kind of thing? That starts to build that repetition and the recognition and that in-group feeling with your brand. Now, I understand that this can sometimes be a little overwhelming to do on your own, which is why this is what I offer. I help you take your 2D brand and turn it into a brand universe that people want to interact with and they want to go and talk about. Now, if this is something that you would like to discuss for your brand, you can apply to book a discovery call with me. I'll put the link down in the description. I'll also share a couple of other videos here for you if you want to explore more of what this framework looks like, how you can apply it, and what a brand universe can do for your business. In the meantime, keep killing it. I'll see you in the next one.